Hey there guys, what's going on? So it's a new day and time for new videos here on my YouTube page, and with that in mind, it's time to once again pursue the great realm of what I do best, especially given that it's summertime now, and the great masses will be clamoring, appealing, and shaking at the gates for both fun and entertaining content. Having quite obviously overvalued my skills already, let's bring the playing field and your expectations down to the correct size with a brand spanking new video right here. This time around, we leave the overarching vinyl coverage alone for a bit, and instead go back to one of my favorite topics, namely making musical reviews, and in this case, bringing to all of you out there, one of my most personal favorites. Here we're going to talk about an older artist, a veteran of his circuit who's crossed the boards from punk and heavy rock to melodic pop and later solo fare over the last couple of decades. We last visited him during his previous solo release in 2012 on my prior This Dog Ate My Vlogs page, and amidst high praise and more accolades that were still to come from yours truly, the rest, you could say, is history. But that was then, and here we are now with former Husker Du and Sugar frontman turned solo force Bob Mould and his latest effort, Beauty and Ruin. All the prior bandmates and pieces are in place as they were with 2012's Silver Age, but this time revolving around a whole new concept and a whole new trail of both rage and melody. But that's for you to find out further in this video, so without any more of this ado and introduction, I present to you my review of Bob Mould with Beauty and Ruin. From the machine room sounding grit, grimace, and slamming roar of opening track Low Season, the stage is immediately set as one that is both familiar as well as thriving for Mould in this newly enlightened latter stage of his musical career. On one side, much of the angry, triumphant stab and equalizing melody that made Silver Age an overwhelming success is back in its usual force, but is also further tempered by themes that not only categorize Beauty and Ruin, but have been some of the best parts of how Bob Mould categorizes himself. The metaphorical gray is still in the temples, of course, and with the passage of time comes that consistence of observing mortality and that all we know is in a finite landscape. However, if it's one thing Bob is good at, it's showing that fear, doubt, pain, regret, and just being plain old pissed off never truly cease from our lives either. Even if you aren't a snarling teenager in an 80s punk rock band anymore, occasionally the lucky ones still know how to emote all of the above emotions with the best of their fellow musicians. Of course, for those who don't know, Beauty and Ruin was inspired by the passing of Mould's late father, as well as the events that transpired in the year following its occurrence. As his song The War states, "And all these songs I write for you, they tear me up, it's not hard to do. Listen to my voice, it's the only weapon I kept from the war." And indeed, that's the subject that tears the deepest here, from the hard-bitten rejection of I don't know you anymore, aged looking back on life swept away on nemesis or laughing, to a hard look at a relationship turned to dust in the aforementioned The War. Of course, as Mould's biography plainly stated, his relationships have often never been easy, especially with his father. But for as contentious as Beauty and Ruin can be across the span of these 36 minutes, it also spares a place for lengthy glances spent with grief, remorse, uncertainty, and an ever-present sense of not being quite comfortable in your own skin. One would almost worry for Bob considering his career and lifelong struggles with so many of these themes, but rather than a weak spot, these tales feel like a righteous burning of those skeletons lingering too long behind the closet door. They may not be as dark or churning as the Black Sheets of Rain, and they may not contain the unbridled fury of Sugar's Beaster EP, but these songs continuously ring with a sense of genuine, hard-won authenticity. Forgiveness has a lighter, jangly feel that wouldn't seem too far out of place from Bob's Sugar era, or from If I Can't Change Your Mind for that matter, and Let the Beauty Be seems like it could go flawlessly toe-to-toe with the best of his highly underrated solo period from the early to mid-2000s. And closing with Fix It takes what could be a somber conclusion and sends it up with a sailing epilogue of sorts that brings to mind Keep Believing from Silver Age. All in all, I think we can only hope that Bob, with trusty Blue Strat in hand of course, always keeps believing through the beauty or the ruin. My favorites from this one are all the aforementioned, with Forgiveness, I Don't Know You Anymore, The War, Let the Beauty Be, and Fix It leading the charge. While he may no longer be in the epitome of his youth and the content that defined it, Bob Mould really has managed to transcend bands, sounds, and themes of his own life and career to emerge mostly unscathed on the other side. While far from everything turned out like roses, of course, he's resurrected a thrashing ache that is equal parts pointed as it can be utterly sweet. When all is said and done, he scored big again with the brilliance of Beauty and Ruin, which I easily have to give a 10 out of 10. But that's it, and that's all for me here, guys, with my coverage of Bob Mould with Beauty and Ruin. I hope you enjoyed this little review here on release day. Keep on tuning in for a lot more coverage and reviews still to come, of course, along with vinyl unboxings and many great things under the sun. And again, thank you so much for tuning into this video especially. I love being able to do reviews on artists and albums and new albums from artists that I just love so much. And Bob is a really, really important one to me. And I'm so glad that Beauty and Ruin is not only so rewarding in feeling to me, but that I can also pass it along and describe my feelings about it to those of you out there who choose to watch it. And I cannot thank you enough for doing so. But keep it here for a lot more soon to come.